Hi there. Now we're all aware of Faf du Plessis, the captain. We're all aware of Faf du Plessis, the swashbuckling batter as well. But how many of us really know a thing or two about Faf du Plessis, the author? Well, if you're surprised, let us tell you here that Faf du Plessis has written his book. His book that he's authored is called Faf Through Fire. That's the title of the book, and he's made some interesting revelations in this book. He's called an international cricketer a bully. He's also thrown some light on a player he had very good relationships with, in fact was his childhood friend as well. And he's also told us why this book is different to many other books that you would have read written by cricketers in the past. Let's not waste any time and tell you what exactly Faf du Plessis has said in his book. First things first, yes, of course, he's given a lot of attention to the 2018 controversial series that happened in South Africa, where Australia were touring South Africa, and yes, of course, we do remember why that series is remembered by cricket fans across the globe. It is because of the Sandpaper Gate incident. Now, with regards to that, yes, there's been a few things that Faf du Plessis has said, but most importantly, he's talked about how the Australian team really was on the field and off the field as well. Let's not forget that spat of sorts that took place between Quinton de Kock and David Warner. We'll come to David Warner in a bit, but before that, let's tell you what Faf du Plessis has had to say in his book, which is titled Through Fire, and what he said about the Australian team. He's gone ahead and said that Australia wanted to bully us. We had to stand up for ourselves. They abused us that whole game, but the way we fought back turned the series around. Let's also remind you here that it was a 4-match test series, and South Africa did manage to win the series 3-1. Yes, of course, that series is remembered for different reasons. 3 Australian players were indeed handed bans because they were found guilty of foul play and ball tampering. Cameron Bancroft, David Warner and Steve Smith as well. All 3 were given bans for their conduct on the field. And yes, David Warner was of course a pivotal player in that series, not because of the controversy on the field, but because of his controversies off the field as well. Remember, during the Durban test, it was an altercation of sorts that broke out between David Warner and Quinton de Kock in the tunnel, after which in fact David Warner was found guilty for inappropriate conduct and was also handed a 75% fee deduction as well. So 75% of his match fee for that particular test was also docked. Now, since we're talking about David Warner, let's also tell you what Faf du Plessis really feels about David Warner, and especially the way David Warner conducted himself in that particular test match. He goes on to say that he was an absolute bully, and I don't have time for bullies. Now, we do know David Warner is one of the aggressive cricketers out there, but Faf du Plessis, even though he's not one of those who really minces words, in very clear terms, he said in his book that David Warner was an absolute bully in that particular series. Yes, David has made a comeback to international cricket, didn't quite have the kind of seasons at the World Cup that we thought he would have. Remember, he was the man of the tournament last year as well, but perhaps he pushed things a little or went too far in that series against South Africa back in the year 2018. Now, here's the interesting bit though. As was told to you earlier, he's talked about his bond with a certain player, and that's AB de Villiers. Now, we all do know the fact that both ABD and Faf du Plessis were childhood friends and at one point shared a very, very close relationship. But Faf in his book has said that he was indeed jealous of AB de Villiers at one point, and not just for him, for other players around him as well. It was difficult to be surrounded or to be around arguably one of the most talented player of their generation, which was AB de Villiers. He also, Faf du Plessis in his book goes on to say that he felt many a times that he was insecure, and he had to learn to accept a few things, and that's what he says with regards to his jealousy with AB de Villiers. He said that once I learned to accept this, I was able to find comfort in my journey. Yes, of course, as a player, you do see sometimes you do go through some times where yes, there is a lot of competition within the team. Yes, you're all fighting for a space in the team, but Faf du Plessis now throwing some light on what exactly the atmosphere within the team was, and yes, also saying that at some point he did feel jealous of AB de Villiers being there in the team, but something that he had to make peace with, and he learnt that he had to make peace with that. But what's this book all about? He goes ahead and says that this isn't just a book about cricket. In fact, this has very limited to do with cricket, because if it had to be a book just on cricket, it wouldn't have been a book altogether, is what he says. He says that my story is about failure. I wanted to write a book about leadership, about relationships, about struggle, and that's what this is about. He also goes on to say that this book is something he wanted the common man to relate with. So he's talked about his hurdles, his relationships, his bonds, his friendships, and all of the people around him that really helped him become the player that he did end up becoming. Remember, he continues to feature. He is in fact the captain of the RCB as well. Couldn't quite lead them to silverware last year, but again, we will be seeing him back in RCB colors in just about a couple of months' time. But interesting revolutions being made there by AB de Villiers, calling David Warner an absolute bully, and also admitting that at one point he was jealous of AB de Villiers. Well, that's all that we've been able to gauge as far as his book goes. Do go ahead and buy that book. It's called Through Fire, Faf Through Fire, beg your pardon. And in case you do manage to get a hold of a copy, do let us know in the comment section some interesting bits or what really excited you about this book. For now, that's all the time that we have here. My name is Harshit Ahuja, and before we leave you here, do not forget to share this video with your friends and colleagues and family members, and do like, share and subscribe to Sports Today. We're there on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram as well as YouTube. For now, that's all that I have. My name is Harshit Ahuja. Thank you so much.